Let's bring out Roger Horine, Juniper Networks.
Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Roger Horine. I'm the man behind the curtain running the Channel News On Demand platform for Juniper Networks, an industry-leading supplier of high-performance networking solutions. News on Demand is our primary communication vehicle to inform partners about product launches, product updates, sales promotions, events, training, partner program news and opportunities, and sales and marketing resources. How many people out there use News on Demand now? All right, fair number, that's great. We love it, and I'm very pleased to be able to share our experience with the tool with you. Let me just first give you a little bit of background about Juniper. Our roots started in the 1990s supplying big routers to service providers that built out the backbone of the internet. And then in more recent years, we've broadened our solution set to include software and hardware that power and secure cloud computing and make private networks strategic assets, competitive advantage for enterprise customers, content providers, enterprises, and state and local and federal government agencies, and we're very big in education, where high-performance networking is also really important. Now, the insatiable demand for high-performance networking has led Juniper to grow to be a nearly $5 billion company, and most of our revenue is through channel partners, a pretty traditional set of channel partners. Now, as you might imagine, computer networking is very complex. And because it's complex, it causes a lot of partners to specialize. And also, even partners that specialize or cover multiple of these areas, the specific employees that become experts are often very specialized. So, viewing partners as an extension of our direct sales force, we realize that they have the same needs as our salespeople for enablement, training, and sales tools and marketing resources. And delivering that diversity and specialization is easier said than done, as our journey attests. So in 2012, we periodically convene partner advisory council meetings where our top partners let us know how we're doing in terms of all aspects of our partner program, including communications. And they said, stop overwhelming us with emails. Because at the time, we didn't have any newsletter, and each business unit within Juniper had a lot to say to partners, and they all had access to the partner email lists, and so they would send out news for their little group without any coordination. So partners got 1, 2, maybe more emails from Juniper every day, and they said, "Hey, you're croaking us with this. Can you please consolidate and save everything up and give it to us in batches?" Well, so newsletters are the obvious solution, at least 10 years ago. And so Juniper hired me to start a newsletter, and Juniper had just invested in the communications and lead nurturing, prospect nurturing platform called Eloqua. Does anyone use Eloqua for their marketing? No? Well, it's probably just as well, because even though it's very powerful, it is exceptionally complex to use. So that we had to use a specialized marketing agency to run the system. And it took weeks to consolidate the information and send it to them and have them format it to look like a newsletter, because it was just one long email. They weren't really separate articles. They looked like separate articles, but it was one long email. And so we did that for Americas, and then it took another week or two to version it for Europe and Middle East and Africa partners, the Armenia theater, and also for our APAC theater, and eventually to some custom editions for our top channel partners. And it cost a fortune for each turn of the crank. So in 2013, they asked me to work with a small IT firm to develop a custom newsletter platform that would facilitate rapid versioning. And so we did, and yes, it did facilitate rapid versioning. We were pretty happy with it, but it was still one-size-fits-all newsletter. Everybody in America's got the main version that was then slightly altered for EMEA and then APAC partners. And then in 2016, our EMEA team, partner marketing team, saw a demonstration of News on Demand and realized that its ability to tailor each article in a newsletter to what we know about that partner would be a giant leap forward for us. So with a colleague in EMEA, she and I began setting up News on Demand, and we began publishing in 2017. So, sure, it looks like a newsletter, but it's not a conventional newsletter at all, because each article is tailored to what we know about them, because we synchronize our subscription management system, Impartner subscription management system, with our PRM system. And so periodically, every 2 weeks, I upload contact lists to Impartner, and they slice it and dice it. They're not just adding and deleting contacts. They're slicing and dicing all the fields in PRM so that we can develop dynamic groups. And these slides are the slides showing our principal groups, where we target based on location, partner type and level, the specialties that they have, and sometimes the training and certifications that each individual contacts have. These are the main ones, but really Impartner can develop groups for us, or we could build our own groups based on the slicing and dicing that Impartner has done. But that's only half of the tailoring that goes on. Partners do the other half by going to their preferences page in our partner portal, where they can choose from among 7 content interests that roughly align with the specialties that I showed you before. And they also can set the frequency with which they receive each type of news. Bi-weekly is our default, but they can also set various news types to monthly or ignore, meaning never. So that, for instance, if you're a systems engineer and all you want is the red meat of hardcore technical news, you can say, don't ever send me anything about marketing. Other companies that use News on Demand that I speak with at monthly meetings convened by my colleague Lisa Langley at Siemens, I know also have the option for weekly or even daily emails. So we invite partners to set their preferences, knowing how powerful that is to their satisfaction. We do it down at the bottom, conventionally. Set your communications preferences next to our one-click unsubscribe link. But we also promote setting their preferences right below the top ribbon where we say, change the news I see. And I saw that phrase at the last ImpartnerCon when Impartner was demoing another vendor's system. And I said, oh, that is such perfect phrasing, because to me, it sounds like a polite way of saying, get this dreck out of here, show me something useful. All right, let's spend a few minutes talking about workflow, because that's a real strength of News on Demand. A week before publication, we publish every other Thursday. Yesterday was our big drop date. A week before, we meet, my colleague Timothy and I and our manager meet with subject matter experts and partner business development managers to discuss what should we run in the next week's edition. And then they send me links and bits of content that Timothy and I consolidate, trying to get down to a quick headline, a paragraph with lots of links, letting the links do the heavy lifting, mostly to assets stored in our partner portal. And we enter that into the News on Demand system, pull a preview, and send that around for review. And when we're all happy with it, either Timothy or I can click send for translation or content approval. And that does a few things. For Americas and EMEA, it puts the article in a workflow queue where Timothy and I, change hats and then go in, and for Americas, just click approve and send. For EMEA, click and send, and we're done there. And that puts, when we do that, that puts the article, makes it immediately available in the partner portal on our latest news page for those partner contacts for whom it's appropriate. And it also puts it in a queue to roll up into the next newsletter to be delivered the following week or in a couple of weeks for people who have chosen monthly for that particular news type. In APAC, we don't approve articles for APAC. So when we send for translation or content approval, it puts the article into queues for 7 area APAC managers to either approve, reject, or edit the articles. And then for the English language editions. And then in China, Japan, and Korea, it's similar, except they also have a translation loop where it goes out to an agency for translation, then it comes back to our managers for a final review and edit. And then they click approve and send, and it puts it in the latest news on the partner portal and queues it up for the next newsletter. It's a really well-oiled machine for us now, and it works very smoothly. We have a very streamlined, centralized approach where Timothy and I are really doing most of the heavy lifting for global articles, for the global articles, and also for the Americas and EMEA specific content. But Impartner can set the workflow up any way you need. So for instance, I know at Siemens, they have dozens of content contributors with hands to keyboards entering articles and uploading images. And then they have a nested hierarchy of approvers, and it goes out to legal for review and comes back. So my point being, you can set up the workflow however you need it to work, and Impartner makes that very smooth. So in terms of readership rates, our open rates for articles are generally in the mid 20% with single-digit click-throughs. We did have a little blip in in the spring of the whizzy heights of 11% click-throughs. And you might ask, well, is that good or bad? And, you know, maybe it's a little above the industry average, but I'm not sure there really can be an industry average because it depends so much on the relationship between vendors and partners. At Juniper, almost all of our partners excuse me, sell 5 or 6 or 7 other vendor products in addition to Juniper. So, and that's so we're not going to get the mind share of them like Siemens or Autodesk would have. Like, if you're an Autodesk partner, you're probably all in with Autodesk for computer-aided design. So when they send something out, everybody's got like, oh, I must read up on that because it's their total bread and butter is with Autodesk. So they're going to get open rates well north of 50%. So we find that the more narrow we target articles to the audience, the higher the readership rates. For instance, we have articles specifically to partner renewal specialists, people whose role is to re-up service contracts. So if we have news about how our system works for them, they're gonna want to read it, and they do. Similarly, single topic emails get higher readership rates, but we try to use those sparingly because the whole purpose of news on demand is to consolidate into the periodic emails. I call the newsletters news on demand editions rather than newsletters because you think of newsletters as so last century. Anyway, we're happy with the engagement, particularly when we realize that we subscribe everyone who is onboarded into our PRM system. When the internet privacy laws first came into play, starting with the general data protection regulations adopted in the European Union, there was a lot of hand-wringing among marketers saying, oh, this is going to be the end of email marketing as we know it. Who's going to want to opt in to receive our communications? Well, after the dust settled, people realized that if you really have a good prospect, they are going to want to receive your communications, and if they don't, then they're really not very good prospects. So we adopted privacy regulations, most prominently GDPR, worldwide, and it really tightened up who we mail to in the partner world. Gone are the days when partner account managers would send us their contact lists to be subscribed to News on Demand. Now everyone had to be onboarded through PRM. And initially that was kind of a rocky process, and our contact list dropped by half. But since then, it's built back up, steadily building up, to the point where now we mail to thousands of partners and many tens of thousands of individual contacts within those partners. Now, another really big advantage of strict adherence to privacy laws and tight synchronization with our PRM system is that the privacy attorneys let us manage our own opt-outs. And you might say, well, how many people opt out? Well, I'm really proud to say that only 1.1% of partners have opted out. And that compares with 42% of partners who've opted out of receiving our Eloqua-based end-user marketing. And that, it stands to reason. Partners do not want to get prospecting emails from Juniper like, is your Wi-Fi sluggish? We can help. They say, hey, We sell Juniper Wi-Fi. We don't need to be sold. So, to sum up here, the takeaways. I don't call our News on Demand editions newsletters, because we tailor the content to each partner based on what we know. They further customize the news to suit their particular interests, so that gone is the constant bombardment of emails from Juniper. And then let me reiterate that privacy laws really are your friends, because they help keep tight control over your partner confidential information and ensure that you're going to be meeting privacy laws, because they all permit communications among business partners. So we're really happy with News on Demand, and I really encourage you to check it out and consider using it, because one-size-fits-all newsletters are way in the past. And those of you who run Impartner PRM, the hooks are already there to make your integration very easy. We don't use Impartner's PRM, I'm sad to say, but still, they're able to work with it and slice and dice. So probably not as tightly integrated, well, certainly not as tightly integrated as they would with you folks that are running Impartner PRM. But the staff is wonderful, the support is great, and we're really, really happy to have it as our primary communications platform. So with that, I would be happy to take any questions you might have.
How you doing? Quick question. You said you do not use Impartner as a PRM system?
That's correct.
So how do you then use the News on Demand application?
Well, because every 2 weeks I go into our PRM system and run reports and send those contact files. I upload them to Impartner, and that's where they've got an automated system to just slice and dice and create dynamic groups for us. So like if we get some new elite partners, that they show up on the next contact list, and the next time we send an article targeting elite partners, like say it's MDF eligibility, they'll be on that list. And so.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, well, well, we have one more.
Sorry, I have another question.
Yeah.
Just driven by that one. So if you use another PRM system, what was it about News on Demand that was so advantageous over what your other PRM system might have had to offer?
Our PRM system doesn't offer a native newsletter. It's got a very rudimentary way to send out some emails, but it's nothing like the article by article, roll everything up, consolidate it into the attractive newsletter that we're able to send out thanks to News on Demand.
And Roger, we actually have one more. Partner feedback on communication experience. Is there anything you would do differently using News on Demand now that you've been using it for a while? And how would you describe the usability?
Well, I've had the pleasure to talk to several prospects of Impartner for News on Demand to let them know about our experience. And often they say, well, you know, what would you do differently if you had to implement it again? And one thing I say is that we wasted a lot of time thinking, rethinking, overthinking how we could tailor the news for each type of partner, like saying, oh, systems engineers, they're going to want to receive technical news and not marketing news. And we went back and forth on that quite a bit. And I realize now that send a new partner contact everything and let them tailor their content to what they would like. Because, you know, some senior executives, they're not just interested in partner program news. A lot of them are very technical people, and they want to know the technical details. So just let them loose on the system and let them do the tailoring. All right.
So good, Roger Horine.